Hello, and welcome to the Torah Outreach Program, Erev Shabbos Burst of Inspiration. Today's Burst of Inspiration is sponsored by Dr. Mark Dennis, Le'iloi Nishmas, his father-in-law, Dov Berish Nachum Ben Yehuda. May the learning that comes from this video be a schus for his neshama. This Shabbos, it's called Shabbos Zachor, Shabbos of Parsha Zachor. The Shabbos that we read about the infamous nation of Amalek, what they did to us, trying to attack us right after we came out of Mitzrayim. The first nation that established the idea of anti-Semitism. We're also told never to forget what they did and to eventually, when we're able, to destroy them. And then this coming week, Tuesday, we have the holiday of Purim, where we mention, that one of the stars of Purim is Haman, a direct descendant from the nation of Amalek. Why do we read Zachor this week? There is a mitzvah to remember Amalek, and there is a mitzvah to read it once a year, but why does it have to be right next to? So we say because it's right next to Purim, one leads to the other. I would say do it another time. We already have a reminder now, let's do this another time. But there is a connection. There has to be a connection between Purim, Parsha Zachor, and Shabbos. What is it about Amalek, the story of Purim, Haman, and Shabbos, that Shabbos is always the lead off before the holiday of Purim when we read Zachor? It is a mitzvah d'oraisa. It is a Torah law to hear this parsha. Many people who don't get to go to shul a lot, make sure to go this Shabbos to hear that parsha. Why Shabbos? Why Zachor? Why next to Purim? The whole story of Purim, the fact that we can relate to Purim and we celebrate Purim more so than any other holiday, is because it's the story of our lives. We're always saying God's name isn't mentioned in the story of Purim. You read through the Megillah, the story of the book of Esther, God's name isn't mentioned once. Why not? Because it's our job to find him behind the scenes, see his hand in what happens. Very similar to our lives. That's why we can relate to this holiday. Things happen in our lives, we have no idea why they happen. If we're lucky enough, we get to find out in our lifetime. And sometimes maybe our grandchildren, and sometimes our great-grandchildren. Or sometimes we never find out until we reach the Olam Emes, the world of truth. But for now, we have to look. We have to realize everything that happens comes from Hashem. And that is the antithesis of Amalek and of Haman. When the Jewish people came out of Mitzrayim, and they went through the Red Sea, the whole world was quaking. Nobody wanted to mess with these people. They were obviously very special people, God's chosen people that he did miracles for them he never did for anybody else. Comes along Amalek and says, nah, coincidence, luck of the draw. No such thing. There is no godly hand. And they come in and attack. And they're badly hurt. Centuries later, comes along Haman, he wants to kill out the Jewish people because it's ingrained in him from his ancestors. How does he decide to kill the Jewish people? Purim. Persian word for lottery. He throws a lot. He throws a lottery. Pulls a lot out of that. Why? to show there's no such thing as divine hand with anything. Everything is just happenstance. Everything is just coincidence. As cold as the throw of the dice. And in the end, you see how everything turns around because God puts everything into place the right way. And he's hanged on the same gallows that he put aside for Mordechai. And his people are killed on the day that they planned to kill out the Jewish people. Everything fits. And we celebrate the fact that we have God in our life at all times. We may not see how things fit together. As I tell people in my facilities, everybody there likes to make puzzles. You ever notice you're putting puzzles together? It doesn't look pretty, but everything has a place where it fits. And sometimes you look at like, what's it supposed to be? The way our life works is God throws us puzzle pieces regularly. It's our job to put them in the right place. But you ever notice every puzzle comes in a box, and every box has a picture of what the puzzle looks like when it's done? God has that box. God has that picture. He throws us the pieces, and it's our job to put the pieces in the right place. So now we know why Haman and Amalek hate us so much. Because that's the antithesis of what they believe in. They believe everything is happenstance, coincidence. We believe everything has a divine purpose and there's a reason for it. On Purim, we think about that and we realize God's in control. We may have our hands on the steering wheel, but his hands are on top of ours and making us go the right way. Driving the car where it needs to go. So what does this have to do with Shabbos? What is Shabbos? Shabbos is the day that we recognize we don't really need our hands on the steering wheel. God set up nature that we have to pretend that we're steering the car. But in actuality, his hands are on top of ours the whole time. Shabbos is the one day of the week that we live life the way it was meant to be lived when God created the world, which is hands off the steering wheel, let him drive by himself. Let reality take over. God's in charge. There's a story about one of the great rabbis of recent times who walked into a cab in Israel, and there was a little steering wheel next to the cab driver's steering wheel. You know, on the passenger side, a little toy steering wheel. And he asked the cab driver, "What's that for?" The cab driver laughed and he said, "Sometimes I bring my son for a ride, and I let him play with the steering wheel to make him think that he's steering the car." And the rabbi said, "And you, with the big steering wheel, you don't think that's a toy also? God's letting you think that you're steering the car?" On Shabbos, notice we don't use cars. Because you're not supposed to use cars. All the malachos that are involved. But what's the idea behind it? We're not in charge. We're not steering the car. God is steering the car. And once a week, we realize we don't have to do anything. God's in charge. We light those candles on Friday night, and we light up the room. And we realize all these things that look like we're doing something, it's all a facade. It's all fake. Sit back and enjoy and let God run the show. What is Purim? Realize that even when we're running the show, We're really not. Good Shabbos, and have a very, very happy Purim.